The chandeliers flickered weakly, throwing uneven patches of gold across the grand hall, a hall that should have been filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and blessings. Instead, it felt like a courtroom, silent, suffocating. Wine stood there in her bridal gown, the lace sleeves tightening around her arms as if warning her to run. The veil brushed against her cheek, and her trembling fingers twisted the hem of her dress. Across from her stood the man everyone whispered about, Jungkook. The so-called blind Mafia king. His expression was unreadable. His head was slightly tilted, his eyes hidden beneath a faint shadow, hands clasped neatly behind his back. Everyone said he couldn't see that a car explosion had stolen his eyesight years ago. But even blind, his presence could silence a room. The priest's voice broke the tension. Do you, Wine, take Jun Jungkook as your lawful husband? Wine's lips parted, but her voice trembled out like a prisoner's last confession. I do. Her father gave a small approving note, a greedy smile tugging his lips. The deal was sealed. His steps cleared, his daughter sold. Then came the next line. And do you, Mr. Joan, take Wine as your lawful wife? For a brief moment, Jungkook didn't move. Everyone stared. The guards, the guests, the priest. And just when the silence turned unbearable, his lips curved slightly, enough to send a shiver down her spine. I do. Though I can't see her, I hope she's worth the trouble. The hall erupted in polite laughter, but it wasn't funny to her. Her cheeks flushed in humiliation as she shot him a glare he probably couldn't even see. You could have just said, Yes, Mr. Jones. Why waste a good line on a forced marriage? Her jaw tightened. She wanted to scream to tell him she never wanted this, that she was being used like a pawn in their world of guns and gold. But all she could do was keep her tears from falling. The priest's voice echoed again, sealing their vows. You may now wait your wife. Her stomach dropped. He turned his face slightly toward her, and for a moment she could have sworn his gaze met hers. Impossible, he's blind, she reminded herself. Still, when his hand reached for hers, the touch wasn't hesitant like a blind man's. His grip was firm, sure, commanding. He leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear as he whispered, You smell nervous, Mrs. Joan. Don't worry, I don't bite unless provoked. Her eyes widened and she yanked her hand back, glaring. You are unbelievable. Thank you. I try to keep marriage interesting. Her parents laughed awkwardly, trying to ease the tension, but she knew behind that charming smirk was something dangerous, something far too aware for a man who claimed to see nothing. As they walked down the aisle together, her arm in his, she felt his fingers tighten slightly around hers. He didn't stumble, he didn't need guidance. And that's when the first seed of suspicion bloomed in her chest. Maybe the blind Mafia King wasn't blind at all. The mention was too quiet, the kind of silence that hums in your bones, reminding you that you're not alone even when you can't see who's watching. Wine stood at the edge of the grand bedroom, her wedding gown weighing her down like a curse. The room smelled of sandalwood and smoke, masculine, heavy, and unsettlingly him. Behind her, Jungkook sat on the couch, legs crossed, head slightly tilted, the perfect picture of calm detachment. His eyes were half hidden under his dark lashes, unfocused as he was blind. That's what everyone said. That's what she believed, and yet she couldn't shake the feeling that his silence wasn't ignorance, it was observation. She turned her back to him, her heartbeat loud enough to fill the room. Her trembling finger reached for the zipper of her gown, struggling to pull it down. Of course, on top of everything, the zipper won't. Jungkook's report sliced through the air. Need help, Mrs. Joan? Her hands froze midair. You, I know I can manage. Oh, brave women, I was told my wife was delicate. She shot him a glare over her shoulder, but quickly reminded herself he couldn't see. At least that's what she kept telling herself. Maybe you should try acting blind instead of flirting. I'm blind, not dead. Her cheeks flamed. She turned away, muttering something about arrogant men and their oversized egos, tugging at the stubborn bargain. This time, it gave way with a sharp sound. She sighed in relief and let the dress slide all the way down her back, only to feel the weight of his voice again. You shouldn't be that careless, Mrs. Jones, even in front of a blind man. Her entire body still, the faint rustle of fabric stopped mid motion. What? What's that supposed to mean? It means your reflection in that mirror has been testing my patience for the past 10 minutes. Her eyes darted to the mirror in front of her, the one reflecting his faint smirk, his gaze pinned right at her. Her heart jumped into her throat. You can see. Depends. Do you want me to? She spun around, clutching the dress to her chest. This isn't funny. You're right. I should have warned you earlier, but then I couldn't see that adorable panic on your face. You are insane. Maybe, but you married me, so what does that make you? She grabbed the nearest pillow and hurled it at him. He caught it effortlessly without hesitation, without fumbling. That single smooth motion told her everything she needed to know. He wasn't blind, he never was. And as she stood there, flustered, humiliated, but strangely drawn to the danger in his smile, he tilted his head again, voice dark and lazy. Welcome to our marriage, Mrs. Joan. You will learn quickly, nothing in my word is as it seems. Days in the June mentioned were long, quiet, and unnervingly perfect. Jungkook played his role as the blind husband with flawless precision. His steps were slow and calculated, never rushed his eyes, always drifting somewhere past her shoulder instead of meeting hers. To anyone else, he looked harmless, controlled, almost distant. But Wine knew better because sometimes his timing was too perfect. When she accidentally dropped a glass, he caught it before it shattered. When she walked past, he moved aside before she said a word. And once, when she tripped over the carpet, his arm wrapped around her waist in a swift, reflexive motion that no blind man could pull off. Wow, you have got better reflexes than most people with eyes. I told you, I listen well. The sound of your heartbeat is loud enough to guide me. That's not creepy at all. It's only creepy if you make it. Her cheeks flushed crimson, and she quickly pushed him away, pretending to be annoyed. But later that night, she couldn't shake his words from her mind. Every morning, her breakfast was served exactly how she liked it. Her coat appeared on her chair before she ever asked for it. When she fell ill, medicine she hadn't even requested was placed neatly on her nightstand. He never said anything, no apologizes, no explanations, just silent actions that spoke louder than any words. It confused her. He was distant but never cruel, cold but never careless. Still, there were nights when she had stand outside his office door, hearing faint voices, his men speaking to him as if he could see the respect, the fear in their tone. It wasn't. It happened on a rainy night, the kind that makes soul seekers restless. One couldn't sleep. Her thoughts kept circling around the same impossible questions. Was he really blind? She wandered through the mansion's dim hallways, barefoot, her robe brushing against the marble floor. The storm outside rattled the windows, masking the sound of her steps. Then she noticed it a door she had never seen before, half hidden behind a tall bookshelf at the end of the corridor. Her curiosity clawed at her. She pushed the shelf slightly aside and found a small keypad beneath the light switch. What are you hiding, Joan? A code 4 digits. She hesitated, then entered his birthday. The door clicked open. Inside, the air was colder, metallic. The room glowed faintly from rows of screens, CCTV monitors, each displaying different parts of the mansion: the kitchen, the garden, her bedroom. Her blood ran cold. Every angle of her life, her privacy, her tears recorded. She stepped closer, her reflection flickering across one of the monitors, showing her room last night. She was sitting on her bed, crying quietly, thinking she was alone. He had seen everything, her voice cracked, trembling between vague and disbelief. You watched me all this time. A voice, smooth and low, came from behind her. Now you know why I never miss a thing. She froze, the air around her turned heavy. She turned slowly, and there he was standing in the doorway, eyes gleaming in the dim light. Not the unfocused gaze of a blind man, but the sharp, deadly stare of the Mafia king everyone feared. You lied to me, you watched me like some prisoner. Correction, I protected you, those cameras kept you alive, Vine. You call this protection, you call invading my life protection. Yes, because if I hadn't, you had already been dead. Her breath hitched, the sincerity in his tone only made her angrier. You are unbelievable. You played me, you made me think you couldn't even see. Would you have stayed if you knew the truth? Silence, her heart pounded as his words sank in. You don't get to twist this, you lied. And yet you are still here. He stopped just inches from her, his presence dark and suffocating, yet magnetic. Rain thundered outside as he whispered. You can hate me if it helps you sleep, but remember this, Mrs. Jones. Every time you cried, I was the one making sure no one else saw. Her eyes shimmered with fury and confusion. She wanted to scream to push him away, but instead her voice broke softly. Why me? For the first time, his expression softened just a fraction because the word already took everything else from me. You were the only thing I wanted to keep. The storm hadn't stopped. It raged outside like it mirrored the chaos inside her heart. One stormed into Jungkook's office, her face pale, but her eyes blazing, paper scattered as she slammed the door behind her. He looked up from his desk, calm as ever, the mafia unbothered, unreadable. You had cameras in every room. You lied to me every single day. And you're alive because of it. Don't you dare turn this into some novel like Jungkook. You played with me, with my trust, my feelings. Feelings? That one word stopped her. He took a slow step toward her, the sound of his shoes echoing against the marble. The closer he came, the harder it was to breathe. You think I enjoyed pretending not to see you? You think it was easy watching you flinch every time I spoke, knowing you were scared of me? Then why didn't you stop? Why didn't you tell me the truth? Because I couldn't risk it. The moment they knew I could see, you would have become a target. Her voice cracked. I was already a target. You just made me one in your words. He sighed, defeated, and in one swift move, he pinned her gently against the wall, not with cruelty, but with the desperate intensity of someone who had lost too much already. You think I don't know what I did to you? Every night I watched you cry yourself to sleep, and every time I wanted to go to you, I reminded myself my word kills everything it touches. I couldn't let it touch you. Tears welled in her eyes, his voice trembled slightly, a sound she never thought she would hear from the cold Mafia king. Then am I to you, Jungkook? Your burden, your secret, you are my only peace. The words hung between them, fragile and raw. He lowered his forehead against hers, closing his eyes. I never mean to hurt you, Wine, but the moment I saw you, I knew I couldn't let anyone else have you. Not the man after my empire, not even. fate itself. Once tears finally fell, not from anger anymore, but from the unbearable ache in her chest, she raised her trembling hand, touching his cheek. You're an idiot. Takes one to marry one. She let out a soft, breathless laugh, and that sound broke the tension like sunlight breaking through clouds. He leaned in, his thumb brushing away her tears. No more lies, you have my eyes now and my truth. Then he kissed her, slow, intense, every ounce of their pain melting into something tender, something real. Days later, the mansion felt warmer. For the first time, there were flowers in the hallways, laughter echoing faintly through the kitchen. Why add Chogo still argued over silly things like sugar in coffee or her constant habit of sneaking into his office, but now his smirk meant something softer. He had stopped pretending to be blind. He met her eyes now fearlessly, lovingly. One evening, she found him in the garden watching the sunset. He turned at the sound of her footsteps, and his lips curved into a quiet smile. I used to think blindness protected me from pain, but I see now it only kept me from you. She laughed, wrapping her arms around him. That was horribly cheesy. Blame marriage, you are a bad influence. He kissed her forehead, and for a moment everything felt calm, too calm. Then the gate buzzer rang. One of the guards rushed in, panic written across his face. Sir, someone from Madam's past is here to see her. Once stiffened, Jungkook's hand immediately found hers, his eyes narrowing in silent warning. He leaned close, voice soft but deadly protective. Looks like our story isn't over yet, Mrs. Jones. And as thunder rumbled in the distance, she smiled faintly. Good, I was starting to get bored. He chuckled under his breath, low, dark, and utterly in love. Together they turned toward the door, ready to face whatever came next, this time as partners.